Hi, I'm Jason Holm, Harbormaster for the town of Chatham. The Harbormaster's division is responsible for the large majority of navigational aids on the waterways of the town of Chatham and ensures that the waterways and town-owned waterfront facilities are used in a safe and lawful manner. We have a full-time staff of 4 and up to 20 seasonal team members. Every year, the Harbormaster's division installs, maintains all town-owned aids to navigation and ensures that they are properly licensed by the U.S. Coast Guard. In Chatham, there are approximately 200 navigational aids that we set out and maintain. We deploy aids from Pleasant Bay to the South Cut on the east side, and all through the Morris Island Channel and into Stage Harbor, all the way up to Little Mill Pond and Oyster Pond. It takes about 2 weeks to deploy the buoys every year prior to the boating season, and that timeline is dependent on a number of factors, including weather and tides. Often people ask if their boat can make it from point A to point B, and it's somewhat of a complicated answer in that each is dependent on the individual vessel draft and what the tidal conditions are at that time. However, we do always remind them that the buoys are aids to navigation and that each vessel operator should use extreme caution when transiting waters in and around Chatham. Today we'll be headed out and inspecting navigational buoys in the South Channel. We're coming up to a mid-channel marker in the South Cut. We inspect the ones that are left in year-round in the spring to see if there's been any wear on the chain and if they're in the proper location. This buoy in particular, although in a decent spot, needed to be relieved so we could reconfigure the ground tackle and refurbish the top of the buoy, and we'll redeploy that either further into the South Cut or in the North Cut. So as we come in, the first thing we do is to try to run a line through the top of the buoy and secure it to hold us in place. Once we do that, we take off the radar reflector at the top. Those are pretty expensive, so we try to keep those as clear as we can. Next, there's 2 ways that we could get this up. We could use the side boom, or we could manually haul it in, which is the option that we're choosing here. And in this instance, they'll bob to get momentum and then haul it up over the edge. You can see the chains hooked into the bottom of the buoy there. And what they'll do is they'll pull up as much slack as they can. And if they're unable to get up anymore, they'll cleat it off. And then we'll try to come ahead with the boat to see if we can break the anchor free. A lot of times that takes a few attempts to do so. It was a little bit choppy this day in particular, so we gave it 1 or 2 shots and then decided to cut the chain, and that the tackle was unretrievable safely. It's very dangerous, so you really have to kind of watch how you're working not only the chain and the line, but communicating with other people on the boat. You can see it's a little bit bumpy, and when the boat goes up and down like that, the chain can go taut, so you never want to have any fingers or extremities placed underneath the chain in the boat. As we're pulling up to this one, this is a red channel marker in the Pleasant Bay Channel. We were pulling up to this one to haul the tackle and again inspect the chain and the bottom anchor. These were recently deployed, so they're not in too bad a shape. The buoy was in the proper location, so we simply just pulled this up to check to make sure that the chain was still in good working order and that the mushroom anchor on the bottom was still in good working order as well. This, much like the other buoy, is kind of done in the same fashion. We take a lot of care with these because they're so expensive. Each of these buoys, tackles, and chain run between $1,000 and $1,200. So every time we lose one of these or damage them, it's extremely expensive. The cost of replacing and repairing these are pretty high. Even the retro refractive tape that we use runs about $500 a roll for those, and the chain and mushroom anchors can pile up pretty quickly in cost as well. Some of the high flyers that you see in the north and south inlets are expensive as well, and they're configured a little bit differently to be able to pick up or have a better radar return for the boats coming in and across the bar, to whereas these are in more protected waters and we can get away with a smaller aid. So when we get ready to deploy or redeploy buoys, we fake the chain out along the gunnel of the boat. We'll prop the mushroom anchor up, and we'll drive into position to make sure that the buoy is in the proper location. And when we're on top of that position, we'll kick over the mushroom anchor, let the chain go out. We'll hold on to the buoy for a minute to make sure that the chain pulls taut and tips over the top of the mushroom anchor to make sure that it sets properly. And then we move on to our next one. And you just set the mushroom anchor away, chain's running out. We're gonna put the buoy over, hold on to it for a minute. As you're holding on to it, you'll feel some resistance, but when the mushroom tips over and catches, you can feel it, and then at that point, you just let it go. It's a very simple thing, but running out that chain and making sure that the buoy catches ensures that the chain doesn't get fouled and shorten to where our crews would have to go out and retrieve one coming off station. As we head into the summer season, we'd like to remind all boaters to boat responsibly. Here are a few helpful tips. A, make a float plan and communicate that to someone not going with you. B, ensure you have all your safety equipment and that it is in good working order. C, check the tides and the local weather. And D, ensure you have a working VHF marine radio and or cell phone. It is helpful to have a few emergency numbers programmed into your phone. For emergency calls, you can contact Coast Guard Sector Southeastern New England at 866-819-9128 or 911. And for transmitting emergency radio broadcasts, you should always use VHF Channel 16.